Stop following me, or you're going to get yourself hurt. I shouted over my shoulder, my voice trembling more from fear than anger. The morning air was cool, the sun barely up, mist rising like breath from the damp fields on either side of the cracked asphalt. My bike rattled over a patch of gravel, and when I risked a glance back, there it was again, the same scrawny dog, ribs visible beneath matted fur, paws pounding the road like it had been born to chase me. This had been happening every single morning for a week now, ever since I'd started taking this route to work. At first, I thought it was a coincidence, a stray wandering near the road at the same time I passed by, but the pattern was too precise. Every day, the moment my bicycle's wheels rolled past the old oak tree near Miller's Creek, the dog appeared. It wouldn't bark, it wouldn't growl, it just followed. Its eyes locked on me, like it had chosen me for some unknown, unspoken reason. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I live on the outskirts of a small town in Kansas, where roads stretch endlessly and the world feels like it's held together by quiet mornings and the occasional whistle of a distant train. I work at the local elementary school about 3 miles from home. It's a simple life. Wake up early, make coffee, hop on my bike, and pedal through open countryside before the day begins. But ever since that stray appeared, my ride has been anything but ordinary. The first day it happened, I didn't think much of it. I noticed movement on the side of the road, glanced down, and saw a thin, tan-colored mutt with ears too big for its head, trotting carefully behind me. I assumed it would lose interest once I picked up speed. It didn't. I cycled faster, and so did the dog. I slowed near the school, hoping it would peel away. It stayed with me until I reached the parking lot. Only when I leaned my bike against the fence did it stop, standing there panting, tail low, but wagging slightly, as if waiting for something. When I went inside, I thought it would leave, but when I came out 8 hours later, it was gone. The second day it happened again. Same dog, same spot, same quiet determination. By the third day, I started to wonder, was it living near that oak tree, surviving off scraps or unlucky field mice? I began to notice the details, the matted fur, the slight limp in its left hind leg, the scars around its neck like an old collar had once bit too deep. This wasn't just any stray. This was a dog that had once belonged to someone, a dog that had known love and then been abandoned. That morning when I yelled back at it, I wasn't really angry. I was scared. Scared it would get too close to my wheels. Scared a car would round the bend too fast. Scared it would meet the wrong kind of human out here in the middle of nowhere. But even fear couldn't keep my eyes from softening every time I saw it trotting behind me. Determined, yet cautious, like it had decided I was its only hope. My sister Claire came over that evening. We sat on the porch, sipping lemonade as the sun dipped low, painting the fields in gold. I told her about the dog. "You should probably call animal control," she said, though her voice lacked conviction. "They might take it to a shelter." I frowned. "Or they might just put it down. You know how full the shelter's been lately." Claire didn't argue. She knew I was right. Stray dogs didn't get happy endings out here. Not often. The next morning, I decided to test something. I left extra early, just as dawn turned the horizon pink. As always, when I reached the oak tree, the dog appeared. This time, instead of speeding up, I slowed my bike to a crawl. The dog hesitated, unsure. Its ears perked, tail flicked nervously. I put one foot down, steadying myself. "Hey boy," I called softly. It stopped a few feet away, head tilted. Up close, it was even thinner than I'd thought. Fur tangled and patchy. Its eyes, deep, soulful brown, held fear, hope, hunger, all mixed into one. I held out my hand, palm down, and stayed perfectly still. The dog didn't move closer, but it didn't run away either. After a long minute, I sighed and put my foot back on the pedal. As soon as I started moving, it followed again, as if afraid of losing me forever. That day, I couldn't stop thinking about it. While my students recited the alphabet, while I graded math quizzes, while teachers chatted over lunch, my mind kept drifting back to that skinny dog running behind my bicycle. I thought of how many miles it had traveled on tired paws just to keep me in sight. I thought of what kind of person could leave a dog like that behind. That evening, I rode home slower than usual, scanning the roadside. I half expected to see it waiting, but there was no sign. My heart sank. Had it finally given up? Had something happened? I felt relief the next morning when, there it was again, waiting faithfully by the oak tree. The routine continued. Each morning pulled me deeper into its quiet mystery. Why me? Why this bicycle? What made it decide to trust me when the world had clearly been so cruel before? I began bringing scraps of food, leaving them near the tree. At first, it wouldn't eat until I'd ridden away. But soon, it began edging closer, sniffing the air while keeping its weary eyes on me. Slowly, cautiously, a fragile thread of connection was forming, woven from quiet mornings and a shared path down an old country road. And though I didn't know where this strange friendship would lead, something inside me began to change. For the first time in years, I found myself hoping for more than just another ordinary day. The sun had barely risen when I rolled my bike out of the shed, hands trembling as I adjusted my helmet. It had been 2 weeks, and the stray was now as much a part of my day as coffee and lesson plans. I couldn't explain why, but it felt like something big had shifted, and it all revolved around this scrappy little dog that refused to give up on me. That morning, I decided to try something new. I packed a small bag of leftover chicken. My plan? Not just toss scraps and ride away, but stop. Really stop. See if the dog would come closer. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. It felt like a need, an unspoken promise I hadn't said out loud. I will try to be there for you in a way no one else has been. I reached the oak tree. The dog appeared. This time, I broke and set my bike on its kickstand. "Hey there, buddy," I whispered, crouching low. I held out a chunk of chicken. The dog hesitated, body tense. Minutes dragged. Then, step by step, it moved closer. Finally, with trembling bravery, it leaned forward and took the chicken from my hand before darting back a few feet, chewing quickly, as if afraid it might disappear. I felt something break open in my chest, a warmth I hadn't felt in years. "That's it," I murmured, offering another piece. This time, it didn't retreat quite as far. Progress, however small, felt like a miracle. I glanced at the time, late for school. I packed up, whispered goodbye, and pedaled away, my heart oddly light. That day, my students noticed I smiled more. Even the principal remarked I seemed in good spirits. They didn't know that a half-starved dog had somehow pulled me out of my own quiet loneliness. Days passed in gentle rhythm. Each morning, I stopped longer. The dog, though still cautious, grew bolder. Let me scratch behind one ear. Its tail wagged in hesitant bursts, like it had forgotten how to be happy, but was slowly remembering. I learned its quirks. How it tilted its head when I spoke. How it avoided sudden movements. How it refused to let me near its hind leg. One Saturday, I decided to see if it would follow me past the oak tree, past its safety zone, toward my home. I walked my bike slowly, talking the whole way. At first, it resisted, staying put like there was an invisible line it couldn't cross. My heart ached, but after several minutes, with a low whine, it trotted after me. It took nearly half an hour to get it to my yard. It stayed at the very edge of the driveway, tail tucked, but eyes hopeful. I fetched water and stew meat, set it down, and retreated to the porch. It drank like it hadn't seen fresh water in days, ate slowly, glancing at me between bites. I didn't push. For that first visit, just having it there felt like the most precious gift. From that day on, it started meeting me closer and closer to my house, as if testing the idea that home might not be dangerous after all. The whole town began to notice. Mrs. Bennet from next door asked if I'd gotten the dog. I shook my head, smiling softly. Not yet. He's just figuring things out. Every moment with him felt like a quiet victory against whatever darkness had made him stray. I found myself thinking of names, though I hadn't dared say one aloud. It felt too soon, like naming him meant making a promise I wasn't sure he was ready for. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just a stray anymore. This was a friend who had chosen me. And every day I wanted to prove he hadn't chosen wrong. Then came the rain, heavy, persistent, turning dirt roads into slick ribbons of mud. I hesitated that morning, but a tug in my chest told me I couldn't break the routine. Not now. I pulled on my raincoat and set out. Sure enough, he was there, fur plastered to his bony frame, tail giving a tentative wag as soon as he saw me. My heart clenched. He was drenched and shivering, but still showing up, still believing in me. I stopped, crouched low, and held out chicken. "You really shouldn't be out here in this weather," I whispered. For the first time, he didn't hesitate to take food from my hand. His cold nose brushed my palm, and that tiny touch made something inside me ache in the best way. I knew then it wasn't enough to just feed him scraps. He needed warmth, shelter, safety. That evening, I set up a makeshift spot under my porch roof. Blanket, food, water. It wasn't much, but it was a start. I sat on the steps, waiting. Twilight settled. My heart leapt when I saw a tan silhouette approach, hesitant, sniffing, inching closer. I stayed still. He ate quickly, glancing up at me every few bites. When he'd had his fill, he sat back on his haunches, water dripping from his fur, eyes fixed on mine like he was searching for answers only I could give. "Stay here tonight," I whispered. "It's safe, I promise." He didn't lie on the blanket that first night, but he didn't run either. He curled up just outside the porch, close enough to feel protected. I watched from my window until sleep pulled me under, feeling a warmth I hadn't known in years. Someone needed me, really needed me, and I didn't know how much I needed that in return, until now. Days blurred. The bond grew, slowly, tenderly. He started waiting at my porch each morning, walked beside my bike all the way to the oak tree before peeling off, ate from my hand without flinching, let me brush tangles from his fur, allowed me to sit closer while he napped. Trust wasn't a flood. It was a steady trickle, precious drop by drop. I started calling him Scout in my head. The name slipped out once or twice in soft murmurs. Maybe I was naming the hope he carried, the way he seemed to be scouting out a place he could finally call home. And though I didn't say it too loud, a part of me wished with all my heart that home could be mine. One evening, as the sky turned fiery orange, I sat on the porch steps, tossing chicken bits toward Scout. Claire pulled up in her old pickup. "So this is the famous stray," she said, nodding toward him. He tensed, but didn't bolt, only edged closer to me. "Scout," I said softly, testing the name in front of someone else. "This is my sister." "It's okay," Claire murmured. Her gaze softened. "He's a fighter. You know, Sarah, maybe he was just waiting for someone like you. Maybe you were the first person who didn't scare him. The thought stayed with me long after she left. Maybe that was it.